Hey everybody, Jason Burmis here, and we're not going to be talking about killer clowns from outer space. No, we're going to be talking about an Iranian fleet of killer communist dolphins. And right out of the gates, I want to say that this is not The Onion. This is not satire. This is a real story that I tweeted about several days ago when it first came out. And this is military.com with a rather alarming picture of what I can only assume is a bloodthirsty communist dolphin. And before we get into the absurdity of this story and why it's absurd, I want to point out that there is a very real possibility that I may have a socialist band of squirrels in my yard. What do I mean? Well, there's this one black squirrel that's around, okay? And he seems to work really well with the other squirrels. Now, his eyes are yellow and red and beady. He must be a socialist. Oh boy. Let's just get it out of the way, guys. Animals do not and never will have political beliefs or affiliations. They won't. They don't. That's not how it works. So the fear mongering out of this Gates is based on a ridiculous premise that communist dolphins exist. Now, there is, however, a very real possibility that remote-controlled animals have been a thing used by not only Russia, but the United States and other large military powers for decades. For decades. Remote-controlled cats. I mean, these patents are out there. In fact, we'll do it live. Let's do the remote-controlled cat. Remote-controlled cat. Let's go government. I like how they're trying to sell me a remote control cat. Here it is. How the CIA, and this is just the unclassified stuff, tried to turn a cat into a cyborg spy. And you can see some of the mechanisms there. They try to keep this, and DARPA. Ooh. They try to keep this kind of stuff kind of on the low key until they can use it for fear mongering. Now, the idea that you could harness a weapon or gain intelligence by putting some kind of a camera attached to a dolphin you were controlling, that's actually a real one. Does Iran have a fleet of these things, and are they killer communist dolphins? They are absolutely not. But let's read through the propaganda from military.com. Iran has some surprising weapons at its disposal. In a 2002 U.S. military exercise that pitted Iran against an invasion from an American task force, the general in command of the opposition was retired Lieutenant General Paul Van Ripper. He used motorcycles, small fast-track boats, land-based missile batteries, and even suicide attacks against the Americans. But he apparently forgot to use Iran's killer dolphin units. Bum, bum, bum. Dude, can you imagine? It's like 1988, and off the heels of the success of the Charlie Sheen blockbuster Navy SEALs, they decide we're going to have Navy SEALs 2. And this time, they've got to stop the Iranian killer communist dolphins. It writes itself. It writes itself. In 2000, the Islamic Republic acquired a number of dolphins from Russia. One's specially trained to attack enemy ships, according to the BBC. See, this is where it gets real, that alliance. The Dolphins had originally been trained by the Soviet Union. When funding for the project ran out, the Dolphins were acquired by their former trainer, who moved them to a dolphinarium. But public interest waned, and their caretaker was forced to sell them when he ran out of food. Oh, the poor caretaker. He couldn't feed them. If I were a sadist, then I could have remained in Sevastopol, Boris Zurid, their trainer, told the Russian newspaper. I'm not even going to try, Pravda. But I cannot bear to see my animals starve. We're out of medicine, which costs thousands of dollars, and have no more fish or food supplements. So, after the fall of the Soviet Union, the Dolphin unit was sent to the Crimean Peninsula from a base in the Russian Pacific area. There, the Dolphins were trained to kill enemy frogmen using harpoons mounted on their backs. Soon, guys, I mean, these dolphins, they're probably way more deadly than the Austin Powers Dr. Evil sharks with frickin' laser beams on their heads. These are Russian-trained killer Iranian communist dolphins. Okay? They would also swim at enemy ships in suicide attacks while carrying explosive sea mines, as they were able to distinguish between Russian and American submarines by the sounds their propulsion systems make underwater. Now again, real technology, and again, cyborg technology, very real as well. But the idea that we should be worried about a fleet of Iranian killer dolphins that happen to be communist, let's be honest, once again, ludicrousy. But once again, the Central Intelligence Agency has been doing this for a long time, whether it's actual animals or, say, in the case of, I always like to go to this one, a drone that is a dragonfly drone. CIA dragonfly drone. And they also had a fish, by the way. So let's get there. Oh, sorry. But meet the CIA's Insecticopter. What, really? Page not found? Well, then let's go to this one. And notice this. Almost beat modern UAVs by 40 years. And there it is right there. I did a story on this probably a decade ago now. All right? So back in the 70s, they were developing this stuff. And again, it got declassified well over a decade ago. So this is from 2012. I'm pretty sure it was declassified before that. And now, to try to distinguish some of these fleets of drones from animals is already very difficult, okay? So guys, thumbs this video up, sub and share. We do a lot of different types of video, and with real things heating up, with more military retaliation in the Middle East going on today, and no end in sight, whether we're talking about Syria, Afghanistan, Iraq, Kenya, don't like to talk about that one much, Libya, Yemen, etc. We're going to cover these things because overall, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous, some of our propaganda, but people buy into it. Guys, I'm doing it 3 to 7 times a day over here. If you have not seen my Dennis Hassert video, it is a must-watch to see how people of power, of prominence, rise up while at the same time not only trying to be a part of the predator class and being a minion for that predator class, but preying on children. Let me repeat that. Preying on children, and that's something that not only is not right, but needs to be exposed on a level that these people actually pay for their crimes. Later today, I'm also going to be talking about the royal family. I've been speaking out against royalty and the idea that we have nepotism and rule by bloodline, not only in European nations, but also Saudi Arabia and others. There's a lot of new breaking news on that, and I'm going to give you my take on Prince Harry and him deciding that he's going to basically leave the royal family and go and live in their little colony of Canada. So a lot coming up on that end. Remember to thumbs this up, sub, and share. I am a documentary filmmaker. Loose Change, Final Cut, and Fabled Enemies will give you a much larger perspective of 9/11, in my opinion. I will always hear those dissenters and listen to those critics and then try to adapt to that if, in fact, they produce credible information. I've been wrong in the past. I own it. We've all got to own it. No one's perfect. I also have 2 other pictures up there, Invisible Empire, A New World Order Defined, and Shade the Motion Picture. They are my big picture films, the true roots of globalism, control, and how they really work as mechanisms within one another to prey on us, which are really a serf or slave class at this point. It's upsetting, but it's true. And if you want to financially support my work, this is how I'm doing it. I got the GoFundMe. There's no Patreon. There's no Subscribe Star. There is, however, going to be a Rockfin account, which I'm finishing up today, and there will be exclusive content there 5 days a week starting tomorrow. I believe Monday through Friday, I'm going to be putting up an exclusive video over at Rockfin. So if you want to support me, you can support me there or the GoFundMe. They're the two ways we've got it going on. I'm looking to get t-shirts going and a lot more. We're trying to expand this thing. So I want to thank everybody who's supporting me, whether it be sharing my links or my information or donating. And I promise to continue to produce top quality content that goes beyond that false left, right, conservative, liberal spectrum that is almost meaningless at this point. I'll see y'all later.